Hello, I'm Chef Germaine Sibley Gordon with Common Threads, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to do a quick stir fry. So let's get started. Now, with my stir fry, I'm going to use tofu. Oh, and by the way, you can see the recipe on commonthreads.org and type in stir fry in the search bar. So, like I said, I'm going to be using tofu for my stir fry. And right now I have it marinated in a multi-purpose sauce. Now I have a little quick video on how to do the multi-purpose sauce, and I'll attach it to this video. But it's been marinating, and you can see it's actually kind of soaking up some of that really good, rich marinade. The marinade consists of rice wine vinegar, soy sauce, honey. I added a little spicy seasoning and some red pepper flakes to mine to really kick it up. And so I'm really looking forward to tasting that. I love the way it tastes. I've made this recipe a couple of times, so I love the way all the flavors come together. So here is the multi-purpose sauce. So it requires a fourth a cup of rice wine vinegar, and so this is sweet and tangy flavor, or you can use the sodium-free, sugar-free. A half a cup of low-sodium soy sauce, a fourth of a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of cayenne, and a fourth of a teaspoon of honey. And excuse the thumb here. I'm using, instead of the salt and pepper, I'm going to use a little bit of seasoning that I got from Louisiana, and some crushed red pepper instead of black pepper. And so we're going to combine all the ingredients. So let's get started on the stir fry portion. Now, before that though, let me show y'all what I chopped up before I came on here. So I have, the stir fry is going to consist of some red bell pepper, some thin slices of red onion. I have some zucchini cut into half moon shape. My beautiful shredded carrot here. I love carrots. I have some garlic and ginger. And I have some cornstarch right here. And that is for my multi-purpose seasoning, okay? And so the recipe calls for green beans, but I'm going to use, this is a baby broccoli. So I'm going to use a baby broccoli. So in terms of, and I want to make sure, I always try to make sure I have everything straight for you guys. And so that was one red bell pepper, that was half of a red onion. Now, if you have a small red onion, you can get you a small red onion and you could just use the whole red onion. I just have one kind of stalk of the baby broccoli. That's one carrot. That's 2 cloves of garlic. That's a teaspoon of ginger, a tablespoon of cornstarch. I have my sesame seeds. Next, I have sesame seeds. I use this particular product. It's a seaweed, sesame seed, seaweed, and sea salt. So I'm going to add that. And what else? You can use sprouts, but I don't have sprouts. And you could use some cooked brown rice or soba noodles, but I'm going to use cooked brown rice for mine. Okay? So we're going to get started. Now we're going to get started on that cooking process. Make sure I do the right burner because that will help. So we're going to do this burner right here. So let's see. Make sure that heats up nice. And so I want to heat up my pan first, and then I'm going to add my oil. Okay, so let me make sure my camera's following me. Yeah, it's following me. So yeah, so awesome. So I want to make sure that my camera's following me and you guys can see me cooking. Okay, so let us add, I know I have my sesame oil. And that gives it a rich little smoky flavor, but I also have some water to keep it from sticking because I don't want to add too much oil. This is a very strong oil. So that's about a teaspoon of that. And oopsie. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon. I don't want that to stick. And so I have my tofu here. Excuse the thumb. Had a bit of a mishap, but that's okay. All good cooks have them. So I'm gonna add. Be careful because I do have a liquid here, and that liquid in that oil tends to flare up. So got my trusty, and I use this to cook with. And I'm going to keep this moving because this fire is high. So let me, I'm going to wipe down this plate because I want to put that the tofu back on that plate. Oh, this looks so beautiful. Oh yeah, look at that. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Oh yeah. Gonna flip it a little bit, and it doesn't take long, okay? Especially when you have that high heat, just to keep them moving. Oops, that little one did not. And just to keep them moving, okay? So you want to keep that that food moving, so that my whisk guy just fell. I have another whisk though. And you want to keep that moving. I'm always checking to make sure my camera is looking. And so we want to keep that moving. So yeah, so see how nice and brown that is? Oh yeah. Yep, that's perfect. So I'm just gonna add this. Yeah. And it didn't stick. Okay. Get these veggies going. I love this meal because it's quick. Now I have some rice. It is in, let's see, the brown rice. This is the brown rice that I use. And I love it. It's from Trader Joe's. Not that I'm giving Trader Joe's any products, but it's just a quick way to cook my brown rice if I don't have a lot of time. So I have this brown rice here. I'm going to set this aside right here. Cut that down just a little bit. And so let me add, just going to add just a skosh bit more. I think I'm going to add a skosh bit more of that sesame oil because I want that kind of that bold flavor. But you don't add a lot because it'll kind of overpower the dish. So, because the thing is with healthy cooking, we want flavor. Lord, let me get to this before it starts popping. But we want flavor, okay? And a lot of people say, okay, I want to eat healthy, and they're eating healthy, and then they're like, they stop, and they get tired of eating healthy simply because the food doesn't taste good. But what we want is tasty food, and we want healthy food. We want to, make sure that we have it all kind of in there. Now I'm going to add just a pinch of salt. to kind of bring out the flavor in that onion, okay? And that way, all that flavor can kind of like mellow out into the pan. And so the other vegetables can kind of get that flavor infused with them also. So that and my red bell pepper. And you just want to keep that food moving in the pan. And that's because you do have it on high heat, and that's why they call it a stir fry. You do have it at a high heat, and so you want to keep it moving in the pan. And so that way, nothing burns, nothing burns. So let me see if I can scoot you guys over just a little bit to see what I'm doing. There you go. So that way nothing burns. And my wok is nonstick also. Now I'm going to add my baby broccoli. Another pinch of salt. Just kind of layer that flavor as we're cooking. Now, I love, and I'm gonna pull this out because this is not. So I love this baby broccoli right here because they're smaller and you don't have to. You can kind of keep the integrity of the vegetable intact. You don't have to necessarily cut them up. And if they're too large, you can just kind of break them apart and throw them back in there. But I love it because they look like beautiful little flowers, and it's just it tastes so good. And like this one's kind of big. And so you just can kind of break them apart. I do not have fingers of steel. These aren't quite as hot, even though you might see the heat come off of them. But this one too. But they look like beautiful little flowers, and they taste delicious. Now the recipe calls for string beans, but in my family, this recipe wouldn't get eaten because I have folks who are not string bean fans, but that's okay. We improvise and we do things that everybody will love and will want to eat, okay? Okay. So now we're going to add the zucchini. And I cut these into little moon shapes. So cut them at each end, slice it in half, okay? And then slice that right down. And so, this looks so good. Wait, I'm gonna show you guys. This looks so good. Look at that. Oh. Because I have that nonstick wok, nothing has stuck. Add a little bit more salt. And I always kind of pinch it. I can add ghost cracked pepper. Not the biggest black pepper fan, but I like to add just a skosh. Oh, this looks so good, y'all. Oh, I love this recipe. Okay. Carrots. Oop, I shredded those carrots. Add that in there. I had a big carrot. Ooh, that's a lot of orange. I had a big carrot. Kind of balances out that green. You have that red, that green, that orange. That was one carrot. A zucchini. a half a red onion, whole bell pepper. And I know when I taught this in the class, someone said, well, what about they had, don't you dare run away. Sometimes a vegetable will try to run away from me, and I'm like, don't you dare run away. So, but one of my students in one of my classes, she said, well, what about if I had snow peas? Throw it in there, you know, because this is a stir fry. If you want to add mushrooms, you can add mushrooms, different type of mushrooms. FYI, if you do the mushrooms, stir fry those first. Because mushrooms, and then you're gonna have to use, you can use an oil, and with the oil, with the mushrooms, they absorb the oil and they absorb flavors very quickly. They're kind of spongy, so you want to do those first before you add any other vegetable in there, before the onions, okay? Now the seasoning I used in my my multi-purpose sauce is something I got from Louisiana. And so I try to do that, and I do that because farmers markets are so abundant. I'm from Louisiana, I'm from Baton Rouge, and farmers markets every Saturday, and they tend to be very abundant in Louisiana because there are so many farmers and it's a long growing season. And so what would be really cool is that check out a farmer's market and see what's in season and have a seasonal stir fry. And that's a great thing to have. Oh yeah. You know, for a great dinner. And if you use chicken, you can use chicken, cut them up into little pieces and, you know, let it marinate in some of this sauce overnight. And then you do it, then you would use your chicken in the stir fry. So I love about this stuff, the cooking and especially a stir fry, it's what works for you. And because you're doing it at home, you don't have to worry about something that I don't like. Well, I don't like this, and then you're picking through everything. Put in what you like. If you don't like red, use a green, use a yellow bell pepper. If you just want mostly bell pepper and snow peas, you could do that. If you want mushrooms, you could do shiitakes. You could do a cremini, little those are baby portobellos. Um, whatever mushrooms, you know. Oh, don't you dare run away. I'm trying to make sure don't nobody run away off my pan. Oh my goodness. I'm just stir frying. I'm just stirring. I cut my fire down just a little bit so I could talk to you guys without my food burning. Okay, so now my ginger. My garlic. I got my garlic here and my ginger. That's the very last thing I add. I add my this is my water. Well, some of these bowls out of the way. And I've added just about everything. So I add my garlic glass because I don't want it to burn. I want to keep this moving because if you have added first, it could burn and then just kind of it messes up the whole dish and you have to start over. Okay, so look how beautiful. Look how beautiful that looks. Look at that. I'm looking at it with y'all. So right now, I have that my whisk man took a dive. I already got a little mini whisk right here waiting for me. So I'm gonna add my cornstarch to my multi-purpose sauce right here. Yeah, I'm gonna whisk that in together. Wonderful. There you go. Nice, nice, nice. What's my time looking like? Oh, you're doing wonderful. See? Gonna add this in. Oh yeah. Gonna add that into my stir fry. And now, what you got here? Got my tofu. Add my tofu in. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Make sure. A little bit of stick. I just got just a little bit of water. You know what? Make sure I have too much sticks. I got a little bit of stick going on here. There you go. Just a little bit of water. Keep everything from sticking. I don't add too much because I don't want to water down that flavor from my multi-purpose sauce. Oh, my goodness, this looks so good. Y'all, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm grab me a plate. Oh, I'm gonna jump out. Grab me a plate. You know what? I'm one of those people. I like to make sure, when I watch videos and people do cakes and they leave a little bit, I will scrape everything out of the bowl. I'm scraping all that multi-purpose sauce out of my bowl. I'm making sure that it's all incorporated in my dish. This is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to try this. I have my rice here, and this is a shortcut. This is a shortcut, but you could do soba noodles. You can do, and I love this. Like I say, this is a shortcut because not everybody knows how to cook brown rice. Brown rice takes a little bit more time. And so for starters, if you want to start out and let me run over here. I'm still in the camera. I'm still here, but I just want to run over and show y'all these little nifty tips and tricks. But this is something that I use. And if you have a microwave, you throw it in a microwave. This is for beginners. This is for starters. This is for people who don't quite have the gist of how to make a brown rice. Because I know I grew up with a grandmother that made white rice and so sometimes making a brown rice, it takes a little bit longer. It doesn't taste the same. The texture is different. So I love that because it's an intro. It's an intro to brown rice. It gets you started on it, and then you're like, And there's some other brands that do things that are similar. I know my aunt uses a brand that she could just boil in the bag, and it gives her the brown rice without her having to. She's older, without her having to adapt to try and figure out how to make it, but she still gets her brown rice. And so that's what this is. Okay. And so we're looking for ways to adapt and change up our diets, but ways that make it flavorful and make it to where it's not such a chore. It's like, oh, it's so hard to cook healthy. It's not hard to cook healthy. You just have to have some tips and tricks and eat things that you love and go to the farmer's market in South Louisiana and Louisiana, period. You can easily find a farmer's market. Okay, easily find a farmer's market. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there. You know what? Let me add some of my sesame seasoning on top right here. And I'm gonna add a little bit to here. I almost forgot. And now if you have sprouts too, this reminds me of a famous chef, and he was doing a cooking show, and at the end, he looks over and he says, "Oh, I forgot my garlic." And they had already shot it, so he couldn't go back. But luckily, I could go back before I shut it down. This is just sesame seeds, but I'm going to. Let's put stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, and so that's just a little bit of. Okay, I have a runaway tofu. I have to try it. Mm, so good. So good. So I'm running over here. I'm still in the camera. I had to run and get me a fork because I want to try this with my fork. Try this with you guys. Mmm, this is so good. And oh yeah, really good stuff. Got that layer of flavor. Got that heat. I didn't have to use a lot of oil because I have a nonstick wok. And the only oil I did use was ooh, that heat, the toasted sesame oil. So yeah, good stuff. Mm. Um, the heat from the red pepper flakes and um, um, the heat from the red pepper flakes, the multi-purpose sauce in there. The vegetables are beautiful, and I'm just going to have to finish this whole plate, but I'm gonna do it off camera because I know y'all don't want to see me chow down on this on camera. So anywho, thank you guys for watching me again with my stir fry. Again, check out the recipe on commonthreads.org and look for stir fry. So you can modify this how you want to, and leave all of the, like I said, I do pinches of salt. You can leave salt because it says salt and pepper to taste. You can leave the salt and pepper out if you would like. And just use the multi-purpose sauce. It is totally up to you. You can use cayenne in your multi-purpose sauce. I use red pepper flakes. Just use the flavors that you feel are good for you. If you're not a heat person, don't use as much heat. When I'm saying heat, cayenne. So love the thing about cooking. The thing I love about cooking is that you can make it your own. So please make this your own, okay? Because healthy eating is about good eating and flavorful eating. Once again, Chef Germaine Sibley Gordon with Common Threads. Thank you for stopping by my kitchen, and I'm gonna go finish this stir fry up. Take care, y'all.